Hey guys, Deanna here with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Support for Label Free Podcast is brought to you by Impression Derma, who has experienced increased exposure to HEV light over the last year and a half. I know I have. If you don't know what HEV light is, let me educate you. HEV light is emitted from your phone, tablet, and computer that penetrates deep into the skin, which can lead to wrinkles and increased harm, leaving permanent damage. I have found a solution that protects you from those harmful lights. Let me introduce you to Impression Derma Let's Face It. This product will increase collagen, promote hydration, improve elasticity, halt premature aging, and shield against those free radicals, all by using these key ingredients: algae, buriti oil, bamboo extract, raspberry seed oil, bloom light, plus many others that are sustainably sourced and produced as well as ethically traded. Please head to impressionderma.com and use code labelfree20 for 20% off. Again, please head to impressionderma.com and use code labelfree20 for 20% off. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. So I've been told that this guest I have is the most interesting man in the world. And let me tell you, he has got such a long list of accomplishments. I'm just going to touch on a few before I make a proper introduction. He's been a millionaire at 23 years old. He's also been a millionaire at making $1 million a year at 33 years old. He is owner of a 1,000-acre wildlife sanctuary, which is very cool. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. He's written 3 books along his journey, maybe more. I don't know. Maybe there's more. Please welcome the founder and patriarch of GIVERS University, E.A. Csolkovits.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on your great podcast. And I love your format because, we're very much in how we utilize labels to events in our life, different than people, and not labeling people. And I just, as soon as I saw the name of your podcast, I thought, oh boy, this woman's great. I can tell she's right on the money, and she has quite an experience. So I look forward to sharing with your audience and hopefully being able to have something that they will want to share with a lot of other people because of some of the little wisdom nuggets we can give them.
I think you have lots of wisdom nuggets that you can offer. So why don't I always like to say, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background, and then we can just jump off from there, because you have a very extensive background. And so however you want to tell it.
Yeah,
on you, baby.
Yeah, my background's about as short as my last name. Which is okay, because till I was 12 years old, I thought my name was Go Chop Wood. But anyway, GIVERS University came about really because of my major defeats in life. And okay. I was the son of a milkman. Back then they had a box outside the house, and the milkman would bring milk in glass jugs and put it in the box, and there was money in the box, and that was for the milkman, and no one touched the money. I mean, everyone left it there. They knew that was milkman money. And then, my father had this route. He was, had his distributorship. From there, I became a janitor. And my first big road to success, all the way up to the rung of a janitor, which I didn't mind because business was always picking up.
Yeah.
What? Oh, anyway. So
that was a little humor.
Yeah, a little bit. Just much right there. Anyway, so as a janitor, I was burnt out, and I had the opportunity to meet an amazing lady, because I lived in Chicago. I'm from Chicago originally. Lived in an area called Oak Brook, which is a greater Chicagoland area. And at that time, the world headquarters for McDonald's was in Oak Brook, Illinois. It's not anymore, but it was. So I grew up during all of this, during this whole phenomenon. I was right there. And so I was able to be bonded at 16 years old. And I met this incredible woman named June Martino, who had the 3rd most controlling stock in McDonald's. Wow. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Founder with Michael Keaton.
No, I don't think I have.
Okay. Well, it's about McDonald's and Ray Kroc, et cetera. And he talks about, he's constantly talking to his secretary, June, who's outside his office. That's the lady, not in the movie, it's an actress, but in real life that I met, right? And I cleaned her house. I was in her house every week, once a week. And I asked her about the McDonald's story. And she was very approachable, worth so many zeros I couldn't even count at that point. And I thought, this is the icon, June Martino, right? And so she told me about when Ray couldn't afford to pay her. And I said, man, but she said, yeah, he just gave me stock in a worthless company. And she sort of giggled, sort of chuckled. And I said, well, why'd you do it? Because obviously McDonald's didn't have any money, and, they were going upside down. And I could tell the thought was very provoking to her, and that this snot-nosed 16-year-old had just asked her a question no one else had asked her before.
Yeah.
And she sat back and looked at me, and she said, because I believed in Ray. And I thought, man, the first thought I had, Deanna, was I have to find a Ray Kroc. I've got to find someone that can teach me how to do these things, someone I could trust. And that led me, and it wasn't a couple months later, I met my business mentor, and he was from Michigan.
Okay.
And which is how the connection happened back and forth. He was opening a diamond store in Chicago, in Berkeley, Illinois, suburb of Chicago.
Yeah.
And so he was opening this up, and we got a phone call at the office at the janitorial service I was at, the same one I cleaned June's house with. And my boss says, this guy's in from Detroit, and he's opening a diamond store, and he wants to see some carpeting. And I said, Jerry, I'm not gonna go. I already punched out, and they literally punched out, with one of those clocks.
Yeah.
And he said, I have to stay here. You got to go for me. And I said, Jerry, I'm not going. I punched out. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you any Saturday off you want. Now for a janitor, that's big. That's a big chip.
Yeah.
That's a big negotiation, because all businesses are closed and we're cleaning, right?
Right.
So when I can be off on Saturday, this is great. So anyway, so I went begrudgingly, because of the Saturday negotiation, to meet a man who, little did I know, was going to change my life forever.
I like how you do that. That's almost like a movie. You said that.
It was extraordinary. I mean, and it was, as soon as we met, it was like we knew each other before. It was just, we had immediate rapport. We talked about everything. He wasn't interested in the carpeting. We just had commercial grade, and he wanted something real plush for a diamond store. So as I'm leaving, he offers me a job. And I said, oh no, I'm all set. I'm a janitor, man. Business people are going to make a mess, and I'm going to pick it up. My life's all set. And he hooked me as I left with the question. He knew, as I knew later on, as I knew him more and more, he had great insight into people very quickly. And he knew this one would bug me. As I walked out the door, he said, what do you have to lose? You can always go back being a janitor. And I said, oh no, I'm all set. And I left, and got about halfway home. I thought, he's right. It just bugged me. And I thought, he's right. And I turned around. I said, well, he's probably already gone. It's almost midnight. He was still there. And I said, what do you got? One thing led to another. And he became my business mentor. And he really changed the whole trajectory of my life, if you will, from being a son of a milkman, burnt out janitor, who my fun point was getting free songs on a jukebox at 2 a.m, cleaning bowling alleys. That was my big fun thing. And he began to put together those burnt out wires. And that really, while he was mentoring me, also caused me to, go in my business ventures, if you will, and have my 3 defeats. Each defeat caused me to write a book, which ultimately caused the founding of GIVERS University.
So let's talk about those defeats. So before we started recording, I told you that, my late husband, he was a millionaire at 25. And I really feel like that changed his whole persona and his life. And I think it really messed him up, pretty big. So you becoming a millionaire at 23, can you talk to us about that and like the impact that had on your life?
Yes. Well, it had a big impact because at a very young age, I was educated, but was not wise.
Mm-hmm.
Big difference, and I've met a lot of educated idiots over my years. People that just, have no wisdom whatsoever, because education is having information. Wisdom is knowing what to do with it and when to do it.
Yeah.
And they just don't have they don't have the wisdom. And I was one of those. That's why I learned. And it really comes down to what we teach at GIVERS University, because it's part and parcel and germane to your thought. And that is, we teach what I didn't know, and that is how to discern. First of all, I say across the board, Deanna, we love everybody. I emphasize, we love everybody. But what we teach people is we teach people to separate the person who we love from their deeds, which we may not love. And so we don't label. When we say giver, we're not labeling a person. I don't believe in labeling people.
Right.
I will label their deeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe in labeling. When I say taker, I'm not saying that they're a taker. I'm saying their deeds are that of a taker. And what we do is we teach people to look for and discern certain things you see people doing, not the person themselves, because we're not labeling them. We love them.
Sure.
right? But we look for what are the certain deeds they're doing.
Okay, so what
And when
about
I see
at that
those,
point in your life was
yep,
something that discernment that you needed to learn that you're
lack.
now applying in your university?
Yeah. Well, the mindset. I didn't
Okay.
know how a giver. I didn't know how a giver thought,
Okay.
and that lauded in the first course called the giver's mindset, how a giver thinks, and we identify the 6 arrows that take or shoot at you that you don't even know they're shooting at you every day.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
And we identify the 20, what we call the 25 do's. These are the 25 things that when you see these 25 things, you may want to think about bringing that person closer into your life as a part of what we call your giver community. By contrast, if you see these other 25 things, you may want to think about what we say is respectfully distancing yourself.
Yeah.
Not nasty, but respectfully, nicely distancing yourself, not being available, because they're going to bring with them the 3 Ds of defeatism, disruption, and destruction. And everyone is about ready to become collateral damage. And I ask your listeners the following. Think about every fire you stomp out. Think about all the energy drainers when you talk on the phone, and when you're through talking, you go, man, I don't know what we talked about, but all your energy's gone, right?
Yeah.
Or when your stress level spikes. All those things have one thing in common, Deanna. They have a name attached to them.
Okay.
So what do? No one's teaching today in a world where businesses open and close it, where products are antiquated overnight. No one's teaching us how to discern who we should have in our life and who we shouldn't. Everything's look in the mirror.
If you don't have that intuition to know better, then shame on you. But you're right. I think some people don't know, but like my alarm, there's like the the alarms go off. You know, if I'm feeling bad energy or something, like there have been plenty of people that I've had to get out of my life and just put up,
Distance yourself.
yeah, distance myself because they cannot come with me to where I'm going.
Yeah. And what happens is we become collateral damage because they bring all this stuff with them. The next thing you know,
Yep.
it's all in our life. And we're saying, man, I don't have time for this garbage.
Yep.
Stomp these fires out. Or every time I talk with them, I don't even know what we talked about on the fact I don't have any more energy now. They just sucked it out of me. There's nothing left.
Yeah.
And so we teach people to begin to discern, to watch for certain things. As an example, if someone has itchy eyes and a runny nose, I could discern they probably could have a cold. I can't see the cold,
Mm-hmm.
but I can see the symptoms. So we teach people, and we've broken it all the way down literally into checklists to say, these are the smallest common denominator where you can no longer say, how do I do that?
Right.
And look for these things when they're doing these things. Now you may want to think, you know what? I want to pull them in closer. That's the kind of stuff I want to have around me. Or when you see them doing these things, maybe I should think about respectfully distance myself.
Yeah.
I became a commercial pilot to fly my own planes in years past. And I can tell with you, one of the first things the instructor told me, he said, look out the window. And when you see a plane go from that size, when you're looking out the window to that size, he said, start being concerned. There's a reason why that
Well,
plane
yeah,
went from that size to that size.
It's getting a little too close.
Come
on.
It's coming at you. It's coming at you. And so we teach people discern. When you begin to see it, so you've because of your experiences, Deanna,
Yeah.
you've actually developed that skill set and that intuition that you can see it coming, you can feel it coming at you from a distance.
Yeah.
It's not being taught today to people. They're really not. Unless they've gone through what you are, they're not gonna. They have trouble getting that. So we say, what are you look for? What are the details?
Don't you think that there's a level of common sense that goes along with that? So like that's what I feel like, there's common sense is not common, and I feel like I've been blessed that I have a lot of, yes, I have had a lot of experiences, good and bad. I've overcome a lot, but there's also, I have a level of common sense, like, you should just know better. I mean, I think this last year, and I'm not going to get into the back and forth or whatever the opinions are. I feel like this last year, we've really seen how little common sense there is in society.
Oh,
How
is that
little,
the truth?
how little, just the level of stupidity is just beyond. Like for me, it's just beyond. And I actually had this conversation with several doctors, and they same opinion that they have. So it's just been very. I really just, can you teach people common sense?
Well, I'd like to come back sometime and do it in your podcast, and we could do a podcast on how common sense is so uncommon.
Yeah. Well,
because it really is just not being taught. We're so fast.
yeah.
And no, and everything's about look in the mirror. And I'm for self-improvement. I know you are too.
Yeah.
I'm for that. I'm a self-improvement geek, but no one's teaching us, Diana. What about the other guy? What if he's doing it wrong?
Right.
What do I do?
Yeah.
And what happens is they get these arrows shot at them. And the next thing you know, they have these things happening and they're stomping out fires, not of their own making.
Yeah. What is good, everyone? Deanna here with Label Free Podcast. Autumn is in the air, the pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure your man doesn't carve his pants pumpkins when he's grooming, if you know what I mean. Make sure he's keeping things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th edition performance package. Ladies, do we really want to cuddle up with a dude who isn't trimmed? I know I don't. My man's keeping it tight. Get him to take the leap into fall with Manscaped. Help him join the 2 million men worldwide using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code LabelFree20. Again, go to manscaped.com and use the code LabelFree20 for 20% off and free shipping. How would you I mean, I guess we could have a follow-up for sure. How would you teach common sense though? Like that's an interesting concept to me. Is that something that you teach in your university?
Well, the answer to the question is yes. And we teach them by breaking it down into the smallest denominator, because so much of the training are broad swaths of innocuous, nebulous information that after you've heard it, you say, wow, that sounds really good. What do I do with that? And we broke it all the way down to say, look for this. When you see them do this thing right here,
yeah,
that's what you should be thinking about that. Yeah. That's what you should be thinking about that. And so we don't label people, we label their deeds because we love everybody.
And deeds can be good and bad, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's the first time I've ever heard it referred to like that, like good and bad deeds. But yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And those, and what are the deeds I want when I see these things that I want to pull these people in closer? Because you know why? Givers bring with them what we call the 3 W's: wisdom, wealth, and wellness. I want more wisdom, wealth, and wellness around me. Yeah. I want people around me that are going to help that, because that's what I'm giving out.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't want defeatism, disruption, and destruction, which takers inevitably carry with them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very true. Wow. That's pretty intense. So talk to me about your sanctuary.
Well, I don't have it anymore.
You don't have it anymore. Okay.
No, I did. And we actually got it protected. It was 1,000 acres, actually closer to 1,100 acres in Michigan's sort of weird. I'm from Chicago. So
I used to live in Three Rivers. I don't know where you are in relation to that.
Okay. I'm Southeast Michigan. But my Michigan's sort of weird because you can show everything on a hand. They always show here's Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Because it really is just Michigan's a big sandbar. The whole state's a sandbar, right?
Yeah.
And so we had a wildlife sanctuary was like right there.
Okay.
Southeast Michigan, right down here, sandbar right there. And there was about 1,100 acres, and it was extraordinary. 2 successful clutches of eagles.
Oh, cool.
And the baby coyotes that were just the cutest thing in the world, tough guys coming out of their hole. And I mean, just and the time I dropped the camera when a beaver slapped on the water, and I'd never heard that sound before, and I thought someone just shot a rifle next to me, and I dropped the camera. The camera, you could see it hit the ground, and I'm saying, and when the camera hit, I go, what was that? What was that? I thought someone just shot a rifle, and it was a beaver when they hit their tail on the ground to warn of an intruder, which was me. So, but just, I had it for a significant time and just loved it. It was such a blessing. And we actually got it protected so that it.
So is it still there? You just don't have it anymore?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's very cool. I mean, I wouldn't even know how you go about doing that. I don't even know where to, where else to go. We're definitely have to have you back because you've got so much to talk about on your bio. I'm going to actually just defer to one of your questions that you have here. And I actually like it. So what did you learn by you have had 3 defeats.
Yes.
What did you learn by your 3rd greatest defeat?
My third greatest defeat.
And what was it actually?
Yeah. Actually, it was my tangling with a government agency.
Oh, no, that's fun.
And so that's where I learned that takers didn't necessarily have to be people. They could also be entities,
Yes.
companies, agencies, and what they can do. And and I go through, and in fact, in all three of my books, I actually tell that whole story because it's significant. But that caused me to write the book called Lifelong Learning.
Okay.
That there are, and what we do is we, in that course, the third course, Giver's Mindset, Giver's Lifestyle, Giver's Lifelong Learning. Those are three courses, all of what's called Give to Be Great. That's the series of three books, Give to Be Great. In the third course, specifically, I teach the 6 prisons that people, the 6 virtual prisons that people are walking around in that they don't even know they're in them.
Ooh, that's kind of like the label thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't even and they look at it, and that this is striking such a chord with so many people, Deanna, because I can always tell from the feedback that I get from people, and they say, oh man, someone needs to teach us, because here are the 6 prisons. And when people look at these 6 virtual prisons, they're walking around and they don't even realize they can always pick 1 or 2.
What are they? Can you list them off?
Well, I can give you, well, prisons is actually an acronym.
Okay.
PRISON, right? And so it's, I'll give you the first one's prosperity.
Okay.
All right. And then we go through PR, which is reasoning. Okay. Uncommon, right? No ability. They're in a reasoning deficit, really, for one reason or another. Mm-hmm. Then I is not being literally the kind of person who can keep their word. And then S, spiritual prisons that people are in. O is what we call oneliness, where everything is me, and they're in this prison that only is self-absorbed, only me first thinking about me. Right. And then N is what we call nutritional prison, that people just aren't taking care of themselves.
That's a big one.
And so we turn, the 6 virtual prisons into literally an acronym, and then we explain each one of them. And it's actually, usually, again, strikes a chord with people.
No, I like that. And I can see where that, and yeah, I'm not that virtuous at all, but I can see where each one of those would create some kind of prison mentality if you're like too wrapped up in it. But yeah, before we start wrapping things up, can you drop all your links? Where can people find you, support you,
sure,
get your books, all that good stuff?
The first thing we'd like to recommend is that your listeners, if they have a taker in their life that's taking a little bit too much and not doing enough giving, they should send them Label-Free Podcast.
Oh, thanks.
And here's why. It's real simple. Sometimes we have people in our life and we don't know how to broach a subject with them, and they're doing so much taking, but we love them and we don't, how do you bring it up? How do you say it? Yeah. And your podcast is one of the best ways to do that, to broach that subject with them. And all I have to do is just say, I heard this great podcast and it was really thought-provoking. You should listen to it. Give me your opinion. I want to hear, what do you think of this podcast? It may cause their mind to open just a little bit. And as a result, the person's benefit as a result of that, but also the person has shared them because they may be putting out less fires because of that. Yeah. So the first thing they should do is share Label-Free Podcast with the people they know, because they're going to help themselves when they do it.
Yeah.
What we like to have them do is we have a 7-question quiz.
Okay.
The name of the quiz is, what is your givers and takers awareness IQ? What is your givers and takers awareness?
I'm going to take that quiz. I want to see if
7 questions, 5 minutes or less, multiple choice. They go to a URL, and actually when they go to the URL, they're on the first question already. So when I say 5 minutes or less, I'm not kidding. It's 5 minutes or less. And they go to Givers, plural, giversuniversity.info, INFO, giversuniversity.info. When they go there, they're on the quiz. They're on the first question. And they just do 7 questions, 5 minutes or less. At the end, we give them an actual assessment, and they get different assessments based on their answers, multiple choice, easy, and about how they're aware as it relates to other people. Immediately after, they will get the 6 arrows in a download that I talked about and referenced earlier, absolutely free. We want them to have those things. So the 6 arrows that the takers shoot at them, they'll get that checklist immediately in a matter of minutes. A couple of days later, we'll send them the 25 do's, absolutely free. 2-page checklist. These are the 25 things you should be watching for that people do. And when you do, start to discern. So we're going to give them all that free. We want them to have it, compliments of Label Free Podcast. We want them to have it. So they should go to the quiz, giversuniversity.info. That starts the relationship. We're going to invest heavily in them, absolutely free, and want them to get the benefit of this because we all benefit when we have more givers in our life and less takers.
This is true. Yeah, agreed. Okay, so I'll drop all your links, your website, the
Thank you.
University.info. You're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and you also have a YouTube. So I'll make sure I'll put all that in the description of the episode. EA, is there any last words of wisdom or advice that you'd like to leave with the audience before we say goodbye?
Yes, I would say 2 things. 1, when you're a giver, people will take advantage of you, but you are never diminished.
Yeah.
People get that confused. They don't realize people will take advantage of you. That's what they do. But you're never diminished because they did.
Yeah.
You have to remember that part of it, because what you gave to them, first of all, they lose the relationship.
Yep.
Because they take. And you will get back from another person, from another event, from another circumstance, those things you gave to the taker.
Yep.
So first of all, I share with people, remember that when you're a giver, people will take advantage of you and you're never diminished. And the second thing I'd share with them is be a giver. And when you're through giving, give.
Give some
And
more.
when you're through giving,
give some more.
Give.
Yeah. My best friend, she's like, you've got the biggest heart of anybody I know. You'd give someone the shirt off of your back and you'd invite every homeless person into your home if you could. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I will never stop. I mean, I've had takers, take advantage and I'm generous because I want to be generous because that's just my nature. And whether someone takes advantage of me or not, that's not a reflection of me. That's a reflection of them. And it's not going to deter me from continuing to be a good person, but they will lose that relationship. And then that is a cost on their end, not on mine. So
they're only really totally taking from themselves. They're not factually, when we understand it, they're not able to take from you. They're only taking from themselves.
Yeah. So, I like that. We'll have to have you back, EA, because I think
I'd love it.
A boatload of stuff to talk about. I mean, we didn't even like get into the bio at like a fraction of it. You've got so much to discuss and so much knowledge. Maybe we'll have to like focus on the common sense. We'll focus on that. But thanks again for being a guest. We finally made it happen. You guys, This is your host, Deanna Kempel with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, follow, all that good stuff. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.